begin making our beginners, our super easy beginners child-size scarf, we need to find the loose end in our skein of yarn. Many times beginners start on the wrong end and end up having to ravel the yarn all around. It's made to be very easy. There should be a loose end that's coming right out of the yarn that will be easy to keep things in a neat and orderly way when you're trying to move around and work on your project. Once we take some yarn out of there to loosen it up so it doesn't become a hindrance, we are going to then make our slip knot. I'll review how to do that. You place the tail end of the yarn across your hand. You reach around back to the working side of the yarn and bring it forward to make an X on the top 2 fingers of your hand. Then you take your hook, put it under the right hand, upper right hand part of the X, reach over and bring the left side of the X underneath. Now we're going to tug gently and we have our slip knot. Now that loop is much too big to work with, so we want to turn things around a little bit here. All right, now when we have a good size loop on our hook, we want to chain 19. So here we go, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through until you have 19 chain stitches on your hook. Make sure that they are nice and equally sized and aren't too tight or aren't too loose, because this will mess up the final product of your scarf and you won't be able to work correctly on your scarf. Let's see, I wonder how many we have on our hand right now. You can count them by looking at the V's. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wow, we got that right on the first try. All right, now look at your chain and make sure that those stitches are nice and equal in size, that you don't have any that are too big or too small, that you'll be able to work into all of them. If not, it's a good time to stop the video, take out your work and try again, because this is the foundation for the rest of your scarf. We are going to be working in rows of 18 single crochet stitches going back and forth until we complete our scarf. Now something that we want to do is we are trying to make both ends of the scarf look equal. And we're not going to do an edging on this, so we need to start out our scarf so that it will look like the ending row with the little V's on it. In order to do this, we are going to have to start our row by crocheting into the back bumps of our chain. All right, so notice how we have nice shaped V's on the front of the chain. If we flip it over, we have these little bumps. So beginning in the second bump from the hook, we are going to insert our hook underneath that bump. And it might take a little help getting your hook in there to get started. All right, so there we are under the bump, yarn over, come on up and you have your bunny ears and pull your yarn through. 1 single crochet made. Okay, find the next bump and do this all the way down. And see how I'm having to help myself? So many times the chain row that we start with is just so much harder to get started, and so many times younger crochet friends have a hard time with that. Okay, now that you have made your single crochet stitches across the chain foundation, it should look something like this depending on what color yarn you're using. If you notice, the top of our project has the V shapes that we customarily see at the tops of our single crochet. But if you look at the bottom, it also has V shapes. And that's exactly what we want, because we want the end of our project to have these V shapes. so that both ends will look similar. Anytime you're working on a project where you would like to have that particular look, you would start it with crocheting into the back bumps of your chains. Now we started with a chain of 19 stitches because we wanted a scarf with 18 stitches. So we chained one more than what we were going to need for our single crochet rows. So when we count the V's along the top, we should come up with 18. Take a moment and count those now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. At any time you don't have 18 stitches going across, your scarf is going to start looking mutated. If you don't have enough stitches, it's going to grow smaller in width, and if you put an extra stitch in, it's going to grow wider. So we want to check often and count and make sure we're maintaining 18 single crochet stitches in every single row. If you're not, you may want to take that row out and start over again. All right, you've made one row successfully. Now what we want to do when we get to the end of the row, we are going to simply chain one, and that counts as a single crochet when we turn. So we're going to turn our work because we work right to left. We're going to leave this tail here, and I'll show you how to weave that in later with our plastic yarn needle. But right now we're going to continue working on this chain. We don't want to go into the stitch at the base of our single crochet. We want to start at the first real V that we see here. To see the V stitch right there, go under the V, yarn over, come up so you have your bunny ears, yarn over and pull through. One more time, we go down into the rabbit hole, under the V, yarn over, pull through. We have our bunny ears, so we yarn over and pull through again. I will slowly do a few more stitches. As you practice also. You will continue doing the same pattern over and over again until you reach the desired length of your scarf. However, I do want to point something out before I let you go on your own to grow your crocheted scarf. Notice when we get to the end of the row, here I have 17 single crochets, and I'm about ready to make number 18. That is going to go into that chain stitch that you made a couple rows ago when you chain one and turn. So to keep it consistent, you want to try to find the little V in that stitch also, and go under the V, come up, do your bunny ears, yarn over, and there you go. Don't forget that stitch or your scarf will start shrinking on you and won't be wide enough. All right, so we're here and we want to make sure periodically we count that we have 18 V's going across. Chain one, keep that somewhat loose but not real large. We want it just the perfect size so that when we come back to the end of this row again in the future, we will be able to single crochet into that chain stitch. All right, so we've made 18 single crochets, chain one, and now we turn. And like I said, we continue this over and over again. But here's our other point that I've been pointing out numerous times to you. Please do not crochet into this first one because that will make your scarf become mutated also. We want to go in the first real V that we see and do our single crochet stitch. I'm so excited how my striped scarf turned out for me. It is nothing like the other scarf I made using the primary color stripes. I was expecting something much more like this with even stripes and smaller stripes, but instead I got many bright colors in different size stripes and then dark colors and then bright colors again, and I'm so pleased with it. I did promise to show you how to end your scarf. So if you'll look at the end, you have where your last crochet ended up, we should have a loop on the hook, which we do. And something that I did is to hold it in place is I'm going to make one last chain one stitch. Then I'm going to cut the yarn, about the width of your scarf using the scissors here. So you've cut it. Let's get rid of that so it doesn't get confusing here. And we're going to simply pull. We've chained one and now we're just going to pull and have that take out our hook and tug on this gently, because that is like a little knot that's going to be there to give us added protection that it won't unravel. Especially since I know you're going to be very busy wearing your new scarf and you want to make sure that nothing goes wrong and that it stays together. Next, we are going to take our plastic yarn needle and we are going to thread it with this loose tail end that we have left on our scarf. Something that I always do is I wrap it around the needle and bring it out. You have this teeny tiny little loop. It's much easier to thread with that little loop than threading with all these frayed edges on the end of a piece of yarn or thread. So that's just a little trick. Next, we're going to, anywhere you can, just work this needle through the stitches of your scarf and see how that happens. We have to make sure one end is shorter than the other one. And just go under one piece of yarn. Don't go through all of them or else it'll show up on the other side. So we want to just go under some of the stitches there, under the top side of the stitches, and it's really a good idea to go in different directions. So even though we went across to the left, now we're going downward. And yes, sometimes the needle comes out and you got to rethread it and start over again. But once you've got it securely tucked everywhere, then you are able to trim off the edge. And then you do the same thing on the other end and you have a wonderful, lovely scarf to wear this winter. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial. And I really hope that you like your scarf as much as I do. I am just so pleased with all these colors. See you again at Granny's Crochet Shop. Thanks for coming.